Wow, what a great service already. And it's just amazing to just be moved. Thank you, James and MJ. And I don't know how you're feeling right now, but it was moving to think about people's sacrifice and how they laid down their lives for us. And, you know, we went to the fire station that we went to over in Cat City, and one of the guys was showing us a picture on the wall of one of the firefighters who died at 49 years old from brain cancer from his job. And they were talking about going back, and they're trying to, you know, find the fire that caused it. I mean, it was kind of this intense thing. He's like, how do you find one fire that's responsible for this in this person's life? And so we're talking, and it really wasn't, I was trying to not bring it up, you know, firefighters dying early. But he said, you know, people realize that we're out there and we do stuff and we might die in the line of duty. You think of like getting burned, but they breathe in all those chemicals and all that stuff. And it affects them, and they're in a station with that diesel engine rolling while they're all in there getting things started. I know there's a lot more precautions these days, but it hits close to home. For me in particular, I've shared with you about my brother who died from pancreatic cancer related to diesel fuel, and at 53 years old. And so it really was we kind of were bonding, me and this guy, Bob. And just, he's telling me the story, and he's looking at me, and we're just like, wow. You know, you never realize what your life is going to, what it's going to mean. You know, the impact that you make. You know, my nephew is now getting into firefighting, despite the risks. You know, and I'm like, why are you doing this? I mean, you just been through this intent. Why would you want to do this? And his answer was simple, you know, my dad did it. So when I'm serving, I am connected to him. And today we're going to have an interesting sermon. It happens to be that we're talking about Jesus washing the feet of the disciples. And before we get into that, let me show you a couple pictures here. We were in small town America, the town of Banning, California. Yeah. On Saturday the 12th, they had a 9/11 parade, and there you can't really see him there, but Jeff Serrano is that hand. You see that hand? That's Jeff's hand. And there's his son Max. Their little preschool got to go in the parade on the trolley, and it was really. I felt like I was about 12 years old, sitting in the town and watching America go by, and all the different branches of the service, and the high school football team, and the cheerleaders, and it was really an amazing time. And it, you know, in a lot of ways, this tragedy has brought us together to help us to remember what we're all about. And that was a really cool time. But I thought Maxie would think it would be cool to see himself up on the screen there. That night we went to the back to school night over in Orange County, and it was just so refreshing. I mean, life to the full. This weekend was kind of life to the full. And so we drove up to Aaron was there and some of our campus people, and I mean, it was so encouraging to know that we have campus ministries on over 40 different schools in the LA area. Amen. And they were all there, and people were sharing their conversion stories, and just knowing all the different campus ministries. And, you know, as we lead the youth ministry here, you know, we're all looking forward to when our kids are kind of grown up and they go off to college and go into a great campus ministry. And I just wanted to let you know that the campus ministries in LA are doing awesome. Yeah. They're strong, they're healthy, they're encouraged, they're unified. I just felt like, wow, this is such an amazing thing that we get to raise our kids in the village of God's church. That they're protected. You know, I get inspired by the guys here that protect us, but I really get inspired by you guys that protect us. Spiritually, you protect our kids, you protect our marriages. You know, this kind of protection only takes us so far, but the protection that God provides takes us all the way to heaven. Amen. And I am just so encouraged, and even a lot of our teachers that are here that are, you know, in school praying as teachers and administrators, and man, that we need so much more of that. Less than 10% of our youth today believe in the Bible. The number was 6%. My parents, the generation was 65%. My generation was 40%. And the one in between was, I don't know how they came up with 2 generations in there, but there was one at 16 and now today it's 6. And you wonder, you know, really the protection we need is we need a lot of protection, but we need spiritual protection. Yeah. And that's what Jesus came to provide. You know, I had a question for you. If you could go anywhere in the world with no expense unpaid, you didn't have to, it was free. You could do anything you wanted. Where would you want to go? What would you want to do? Anybody?
Middle East.
The Middle East. Okay, there we go. Spiritual brother wants to go to the Middle East. Santorini. To heaven. Okay, there we go. He's a spiritual guy in church. There we are.
Canada.
Where?
Canada.
You know, we were in the kids' kingdom, and they were all so humble. It says we have Norway on there too. We have our friends visiting from Norway today. Are they here?
No, next week.
Oh, okay, next week. They'll be here next week. So I thought that was cool. It had it on there. You know, one of the ladies in the kids' kingdom was like, I just want to go to a beach because I'm connected to God there. And I was like, you're so humble. I mean, I want my own island. Forget the beach. I mean, I want the plane to take me to the beach, and then I want to have the chef to cook me the meals. And then if I feel like it, I want a personal trainer on standby because I might not want to work out, but maybe I will. And just think about of anything that you could have, anything that Jesus could have given to this world, he could have done it all. He could have given the disciples any experience. You know, they could have been sitting out like this, having church in Santorini on the beach. You know, maybe it was just, hey, I just take a blank gift card to Bass Pro Shop. I'll take that. You know, maybe for you, you'd like to have the Tiffany's card and go to the store in New York and be able to get anything you wanted. And bring it all home. I'm getting kind of old. I thought Abercrombie & Fitch was cool, but I'm a little late. Probably 10 years ago, that was cool. But it's amazing. What did Jesus want his disciples to have? He could have given them anything. Clean feet. Clean feet. His last meal, he wanted them to have clean feet.
All right. Come on.
And it was a lesson that they would never forget. Let's start reading in John chapter 13. This was the last time that Jesus actually did something for his disciples before he started teaching them, and then he was in the garden, and then the crucifixion began. This was actually his last act of service. It says it was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And some version says that he loved them to the full extent. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. You know, he decided to show them the full extent of his love. Of anything he could have done, He knew he was the Lord. He knew he created everything. He knew he was going back to heaven, and he chose to wash his disciples' feet. And so I need a couple volunteers. I need somebody, one person needs to have sandals on. And then I need another volunteer. Who's got sandals on? Okay, I saw Beverly's hand up first. Okay, Beverly, come on up here. You get the chair of honor right here. Okay, and then who else? Who was the other hand I had? Okay, so we'll go for, let's see if we got, who's that in the back? Who is it? Okay, Rick, come on, Rick. Okay, we're going to do this. Okay, I need you to lose the sandals for a minute. This is what Jesus wanted them to do. Now, we're going kind of 21st century. We're going with the, this is the baby wipe era. So instead of the towel and everything, we're going for you. She's seated, and so Rick is going to wash her feet here. You got one for the left foot and one for the right foot.
I would rather.
I'm going to wash her. You'd want to wash his feet. Okay, well, there you go. I think Rick, let's go for it. Switch. All right. Wow, this was even better than I planned.
Wow. Very good, sir.
Go ahead.
You know, I showered before church.
And imagine when Jesus is doing this, that you're just watching in amazement as he's coming around and he's coming to you. You know, the whole time you're not really worried about what's happening there. You're just thinking about, wow, is he really going to come all the way around?
You didn't bring enough wipes?
She said I didn't bring enough wipes, Rick. Okay, so how does it feel, Rick?
It's nice and soft.
Okay. Emotionally, how does it feel to have her washing your feet here?
I feel very humbled. Honored.
And Beverly, how about for you?
Very honored.
Amen. Well, let's give our volunteers a hand, guys.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for volunteering. Why did I take so much time to do that? That's the message that Jesus wanted his disciples to have. You know, you notice they didn't say that he washed my feet. They said he showed me that he'll love me to the end.
Man.
Love to the full. You know, in the kingdom, we often talk about life to the full. But Jesus wanted them to feel loved to the full extent. There's nothing I won't do for you. I'll go to the end of the world and back. I'll die 100 times. I'll die 1,000 times for you. I'll lay down my life. I'll die in a fire. I'll die in a car wreck. I'll die in for you, nothing is too much. As he washed their feet and he went in and out of their toes, and just think about going in and out of somebody's toes, not Rick who just took a shower before church. And no one did it. They were all eating, and you're supposed to have somebody wash the feet, but there was no servant there to do it. And so nobody did anything. And they were all there. They were all above that. They all no one took that role. Except Jesus. Why didn't I do that? Why did I? Now I'm making Jesus wash my feet. the full extent of their love, to know every detail of their dirty feet. There's some dirty feet out there. There's some ugly feet out there, aren't there? I mean, my friend Rusty from Orange County, I mean, he comes out here and visits. He's got about the ugliest feet I have ever seen, and you could tell him I said that. I mean, it is bad. You know, if it was Connor who raised his hand and he came down here and I washed his feet, no big deal. That's not a problem. I don't care. I've been washing his feet forever. You know, how about one of your kids? I mean, you wash your feet, no big deal. How about one of your friends? You know, say I had Ramsey come up here. That's pretty uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. Imagine someone you don't know coming down, washing their feet. That's unfathomable. Imagine the feet that Jesus were washing. People that were going to betray and leave him. And yet to him, it was not a big thing. He came to Peter in verse 8, he says, "No, you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord, not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you were clean, though not every one of you." Peter wanted to make it different than it was. He didn't want Jesus to be the servant, because the servant was the one that washed your feet. But if he washed your whole self, then maybe he was your friend. Jesus said, "No, I want to be your servant. I want to be your slave." You know, why do you serve? I mean, we serve so much. You guys serve so much. Why do you serve? The only reason that will last is because Jesus served me. And as they went out, you think about their lives from this point on, they were serving and giving and loving, and they could think back to this time. The reason that I serve is because Jesus washed these stinky feet of mine. He laid down his life for me, even though he didn't need to. It wasn't his place. It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. And Jesus said, "What are your limits? What are your limits in serving?" He just blew them all out of the water. There's nothing that I won't do for you. He said when he finished washing the feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you not understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you should also wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." He set us an example by giving us his full heart and called us to give our full hearts. You know, as I think about so many in the church that serve in so many amazing ways, the first couple that came to my mind was actually Rick and Heather. And just how they're, you know, when Cal and Shannon and Riley came down, I mean, they just cleared their schedule. They opened up their home. They had a party. They laid down their lives just to show love that they had been shown by God. I'm sure that was humbling. I'm sure it was just like, why are you doing this for me? You know, I thought of Angie Larson. Just serving and giving to the different women. And, you know, she picks up Connor every once in a while from football practice and tries to sneak it by Steve, but takes him to Wendy's and spends money on him. And he's a cheap date. He only gets like 3 sandwiches for $3. But I just thought, man, when she got there, she was like, this was the best part of my entire day. I didn't have anything to do. And I was just so convicted, like, wow, she just is fighting to serve. The best part of her day. You know, we were looking at pictures from that preteen devotional on Friday night. I was in the picture, but I didn't want to go. I was tired, and we were driving over to Abe's house, and it just hit me, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is the last thing I want to do right now. I'm just being honest. Take off the minister hat again for a minute. I'm just going, Lord, just help me survive this devotional. Not because you were doing it, bro. You did a good job on lesson. And so who do I meet at the door? Jasmine. Thanks for coming, Jasmine. I'm so excited to be here at the fellowship, and I've been away for the weekend, and this is just so awesome. And I'm just like, stop it. Go talk to somebody else. We all get to those limits. Right. But what do we do when we get there? Amen. Do we get an attitude, or do we pray for more love? Do we pray to God, help me to make it through, and hopefully tomorrow I'll have a great quiet time and I'll feel better about this? God wants to fill us up again. When we're empty, that's an opportunity. When we're empty, then we're at our limit of our personal power. But it gives God a chance to fill us up. And we get to live like Jesus. That he could go to the cross in just a couple hours, but want to show love to them. That just, we got to think about that. If any time he could say, well, this is me time. I need to get ready. I need to have my quiet time. I need to get ready for the whatever. You know, let's wash one another's feet. Let's serve each other. Let's love each other from the heart. Just because. But it only works in that direction. It doesn't work in this direction. See, sometimes after we've been around for a while, we start to notice when we're serving. Before it's like, oh yeah, I'll pick you up from LAX, no problem, man. You're awesome. I just want to love you and serve you. And then after we do that, and then we do it a couple more times, and then we start coming back, we're like, man, I drove all the way to LAX for you, bro. That was pretty good. I served in a great way. And we start noticing. And we start giving ourselves those little attaboys. We're not doing it just because Jesus did it for us. We're doing it because we're so awesome. Because we're the only ones that will go do this. And we start making it like a competition or something to feed our own egos.
Come on, Scott.
And we start thinking about, wow, when was the last time somebody served me like that? When was the last time somebody washed my feet? I mean, I want, Rick to come up here and take care of me. I mean, he did it for Beverly. That's when Jesus, the whole Jesus, being like Jesus, breaks down. When you start looking about how can people serve me and what are people going to do for me, and that's kind of the world that we live in. It only works going this way. What can I do for you? How can I serve you? How can I love you? How can I meet your needs? And can you imagine if we did that just even 10% more? If we just thought that way 10% more of the time, just how can I serve you? Every day, if you got up and you say, I'm going to How can I show the full extent of God's love for one person today? It would blow people's minds. They would be blown away like the disciples were. And that's the example that we have. No limits. Serving Judas, who betrayed him. Peter, who denied him with curses to his face in a few hours. Yet Jesus got down and washed each foot. And it wasn't as a stranger. It wasn't even as a friend. It was as, these are my kids. I don't think it was hard for Jesus. I think it was hard for them. As he just, I created you. I know what you're going to go through. I'm teaching you to love Judas, who will betray me and already has. Because 11 out of the 12 of you are going to be betrayed and die. It wasn't a lesson that they would forget. Because they would be betrayed and they'd have to love that person. You know, it says that Jesus dipped his hand in the bowl and gave it to Judas. That's what you did for the guests of honor. The most important person, you would do that to the host and say, man, you're it. And he did that to Judas, and no one knew how hard that was. He loved Judas even to the very end. You know, he loved Peter that he was denied. You know, we're going to get hurt. We're going to get hurt in the church. We're going to get hurt in the world. We're going to get hurt over and over and over. We're going to be betrayed and denied and let down and discouraged. But will you let that stop you from loving? Will you let that stop you from being like Jesus? Because that was him. Sometimes we're surprised, and you know, we're not surprised when the world hurts us because they're supposed to hurt us. They don't know what they're doing, but we're surprised when we get hurt by you and me. That's my minister. How can you hurt me? You're supposed to shepherd me, man. You're killing me. You know, you're my family group leader. You're supposed to be my best friend. Will you continue to wash the feet? Will you continue to love that deeply? Of all the places that he wanted to take them on that last night, he wanted them to have clean feet. Because that was what was going to get them to heaven. That was what they needed. If they could love each other, 12 guys, they could love anyone in the world. All the competitiveness and backstabbing and different personalities and different interests and different political parties and different everything. All they needed to do was love the 12 of us. And we're going to make it to the whole world. Amen. And we're going to grow and we're going to change. You know, if we could just love everyone in here. That's all we got. That's all we need. There's so much differences and so many different ideas and people and backgrounds and races and everything. That when we start embracing one another like Jesus, we will reach the world. Amen. Because they'll see our love. And not only that, we'll be connected to Jesus. Amen. This is what his life was. And as we serve, we're reminded of how he served us, and we're also connected. This is what it was like to be him. And I pray that we think about that and we decide, because this world will be a different place. I'm excited to see how God changes this valley because of your love that Jesus gave you. So thank you.